Good, good morning and welcome all to this eAF Q&A clinic. So this is part of our regular sessions where we give you an opportunity to ask us any question about the web-based eAF. This Q&A clinic is aimed for all PLM Portal eAF users, so we're not specifically concentrating or centrally authorized products or non-centrally authorized products. So we're here to answer any question that you may have. If, well, of course, we can't answer the question because it relates to other systems where we are, for example, have dependencies, we will aim to answer your question in writing as soon as possible. So today we have an hour. So we used to have half an hour sessions, and we have had a request to extend these. So please feel free to ask us anything. Please join the Slido, and you can then enter your questions into the Slido. And of course, very importantly, you can also upvote questions that have been asked by other attendees in this meeting. So the questions that get most upvotes are, of course, then taken first. And yeah, we're here for your questions. And before we get started, normally in these Q&A sessions, we don't really do any presentations. We simply are here to answer questions. However, last night we had a production deployment, which unfortunately brought one, let's say, unrequested change. So the notifications have changed a little bit. We have recently implemented a completely new UX design. So the user interface is now aligned and all the pages look the same. So you have the new user design, UX design on all the pages. And according to the new UX design, some changes have been made to the notifications. However, the implementation wasn't completely consistent. And why I want to highlight this particular page, this is the product selection page. Here you can see an image of an application. This is a full screen, and I have selected 3 products, and you can see that the notification regarding the MRP variation number is at the bottom of the screen. So it has moved from the top to the bottom. If I have any more products selected, which in most cases you would have, especially for MRP DCP variations, there would be many more than just 3 products selected. And in those cases, the notification is at the very bottom of the page. So you may have to scroll quite far in order to see that notification. The system doesn't give that kind of red surroundings around the associate MRP number, or it doesn't show anything at the top of the screen. So if you are filling in the form and you have exported and you have forgotten to include the MRP number or do this association, unfortunately, you no longer have this, let's say, the red banner at the top of the screen telling you that this is the issue on this page. So if the products are not associated with the MRP number, unfortunately, they're not displayed in the PDF in section 2. So this is an absolutely crucial step. And this is why we had implemented this red notification at the top. So there had been maybe some miscommunication or misunderstanding with the development team on why the notification had to be there. We will, of course, address this. However, we are not sure at this point when we can address this, because we have a quite a full backlog. There are many other changes that are also being implemented, so it will be corrected, but it could take some weeks before the notification is moved to the top again. So please take care, make sure that you have associated the MRP numbers to avoid any validation issues and any problems. And of course, why I'm mentioning it here, to reduce the number of tickets that may be raised through service desk. So please note that the notification has moved to the bottom of the screen. Hopefully very temporarily. So it will be returned to its right location. So I think we are ready now to start the actual Q&A session. And the question can be indeed anything. If you would like me to demonstrate anything in the system, you're not quite sure what's the best way to search for a product or how to fill in the proposed changes section, it could be anything at all. So please, we can also note that we can also do live demos during these Q&A sessions. Thank you.
Perfect. Let me just change the screen and get to the Slido so that everyone can see the questions. Let's then start from the first question we have. In work sharings, you are asked to add a MRP number for purely nationally authorized products, and this step cannot be waived. Will it be possible to enter national authorization or not applicable and have a US procedure eAF validated?
Good question. Maybe I can actually share my screen very quickly just to clarify which fields are mandatory and which ones not. I'm sharing. So this is an application that contains 2 purely national products and 1 MRP product. So the mandatory rule for the MRP number is actually only for this MRP product. So when I go here, associate MRP number field. There, just one moment. So it is only for this where we have that rule. So I can select this and let's include an MRP number. We update and we move back. Like so. And when we validate, you can see the red validation arrow has gone. So there is no mandatory requirement to include MRP number at this point. If you are referring to the procedure number here, but this variation procedure number, this field also, let's see, let me remove that. Now, of course, we have the MRP product in this application. Now it doesn't, it seems there may be some issue with the notifications because here we do not see which field is missing. Good question. We have just found a bug after our last night's production deployment. So that was very useful. We will reflect that in the release notes, but there should not be a mandatory MRP number for non-caps. It seems there is some slight delay. I will stop sharing my screen so we can go to the next question, but there should not be a mandatory requirement for an MRP number for purely national products. So maybe if this is the case, you can raise a ticket and provide us more details and we can investigate this further.
Thank you, Christina. Let's just mark this as answered and let's move to the following question with 3 votes. Currently, the MAH mapping issue in PMY is affecting the IRIS and the eAF. This is now a blocker and a concern for us. Are PLM, PMS, and IRIS team working on solving the OMS sync issue with other systems?
Absolutely. This is unfortunately one of our, let's say, most critical issues that we have. This is a critical dependency, of course, to IRIS Dataverse, which is this intermediate data layer that that provides us address and product information. Because that system is used by many other EMA systems. So, for example, Iris for inspections. Unfortunately, sometimes the updates cannot be done where they're needed. We understand that that is a blocker. And it is definitely quite an issue for us. What we are doing at the moment in this particular sprint that we are currently working on, we will be able to solve one of the issues related to the OMS sync. So in present and proposed section, in the proposed field, we will start retrieving the organizational information directly from OMS without any connection to the product. That should hopefully solve, let's say, one of the issues. Of course, we know that there are multiple various issues related to the OMS sync. One is related to the visibility of your product. So you've had a transfer and the product remains with the old MAH. There are multiple issues related to that, for example, but we will be able to solve one of them, which is the address details in the present field. We are working on the platform level, and we are trying to do our best, but unfortunately, there is no quick solution. So we are currently investigating. We're doing our best to solve this case by case even, but unfortunately, some of these OMS related issues may be there for quite some time still.
Thank you, Christina, for the clarification. Let's move to the following question. And this is regarding the mandatory use. Do you have any news when the system will be mandatory in 2026?
Well, now this links directly almost to the previous question, because of course we cannot mandate the use of the system as long as we have these data dependency issues. So until the OMS issue has been fully solved, we cannot move to the mandatory use. Until any product data related issues still coming from PMS have been solved, we will not be able to move to the mandatory use. So these are dependencies to other systems that the eAF team itself has very little ability to solve. So until dependencies with these things have been corrected and solved in a manner that we can trust that they do not reappear, we cannot move to mandatory use. So once all the critical dependencies have been solved and all the issues have been solved, we will then be able to trigger our final verification UAT. So it's not a traditional UAT, but it will be a final verification to say that there are no blockers, there's no scenarios where the PLM portal eAF could not be used, and only then we will launch the transitional period, and only after the 6 months transitional period we would launch the mandatory use. I would guess at this point that the earliest possible for something like this, based on the feedback with regards to the OMS issues, could be potentially at very late 2026. However, we will be moving to what we call strongly recommended use, also for non-caps, and this is likely to happen either late Q3 or early Q4 this year. So, which means it's not mandatory use, but in those cases, we would recommend you always use the PLM portal eAF if there is no technical blocker for it. So that is as good as we can offer for this year without it being mandatory.
Thank you very much, Christina, for the explanation. The following question is: will national application forms like paper versions in Bulgaria be fully replaced with web-based eAF?
That's a good question. For example, this national Bulgarian form we weren't aware of, so we thought the forms, the PLM portal or the interactive eAFs are used for all countries. We know there are some national portals where data is entered directly into the portal. But we will also liaise with the remaining countries, and also please do let us know through even just through Slido today or through service desk tickets, if there are indeed these kind of national special forms, and are they used for just normal variations or other type of procedures? So then we can liaise and try and harmonize through CMDH and with the member states to better understand the landscape. But this is again a very useful question. So thank you for that. Unfortunately, I won't be able to say now if this version will be replaced, but we will look into this and we will then provide further information once we have clarity from Bulgaria.
Thank you. The following question. Which applicant to choose at the beginning of eAF is we have multiple MAH involved?
Yes, that's a good question. So indeed, you can now in the PLM portal eAF, you can only select one, what we call a reference MAH. The CMDH guidance, the explanatory notes actually explains which MAH could be the most suitable reference member state, reference member, apologies, reference MAH. However, sometimes there could be a particular reason to select a different reference MAH. So we don't have a hard and fast rule which MAH should take that role. So this could be agreed and decided between the MAHs involved. But it doesn't have to be, for example, the one of the reference member state. So that is clear.
Great. Then moving to the next question. Which PMS product data is recommended to check by the MAHs to start working on a new eAF?
So we always, of course, recommend that you check that the products are available. You can do that in the product UI user interface because we basically use exactly the same data, or you can directly create a new eAF. You can select the products and then do an export. Of course, please remember if there are MRP products, then remember include the MRP number. And when you try and export, normally if there are no data issues, you will be able to export the form as expected, and then you can continue filling in the form. So we would recommend to do this just as a check that there isn't any product issues, because we know at the moment we have some corrupted products. Our PMS colleagues are working hard at the moment to fix any product corruption issues and other product related issues, but these could happen. So it's important to check that you have the product available and there are some packages for that particular product.
Thank you. Marking as answered and moving to the next one. How to handle cases in which national MA do not accept a single MAH which is not theirs in the application form for work sharings and SG.
That definitely should not happen. If this happens, please do immediately raise a ticket, and we will liaise with CMDH, because this is not as expected. This is we had agreed together with CMDH that there will be just a single reference MAH. So this is definitely not according to the agreed working processes. So please let us know, and we will then, of course, try and solve this directly with those member states in question.
Thank you. If we file a group variation and the 25 cap licenses are affected, we are unclear whether this can be done in Iris. Can we add an Excel sheet with affected licenses listed? Or can we select in Iris the affected products?
So if you, eh, I'm not 100% sure now if this question relates to the IRIS RPM as the case management system, where you would be requesting a grouping, but in the PLM portal eAF, you should of course select all these 25 centrally authorized products. So this is so Iris is used for the case management. However, in Iris, you would, in addition to anything that you would do in Iris for the case management parts, you would need to submit an ECTD package with your variation application form. And for this, we of course strongly recommend using the PLM portal web-based application form. And in the PLM portal web application form, you should select all 25 licenses.
Thank you very much, Christina, for this explanation. We can then move on to the following question that states, can you explain if all errors in payment sections were resolved?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, unless we have just managed to deploy a bug, last night, all errors definitely should be now solved in the payment sections. So we have some automated rules. So, for example, for centralized procedure applications, type 1 variations do not attract a fee. So the payment section is not visible. It doesn't even appear at all, so you can't erroneously fill that in. For non-cap applications, you are able to indicate that payment has been made for a number of countries and the payment details for different countries. So as far as I am aware, all issues in relation to that section have been solved.
Great, that's great news. Let's then archive this question and let's move on to the following one. This one states, the function to duplicate an application form is very often not working. In the duplicate form, information are missing while it was there in the original form. Is the cloning function going to be improved? When?
We have had one known issue in the cloning. This relates to when you are changing the MAH. Of course, when you change the MAH, you will need to reselect the products and you would then need to relink the scopes and the new products. That doesn't happen automatically. This issue should have been addressed in the deployment last night. We're still checking if it was fully addressed, because there are two teams involved in those particular changes. However, with regards to other issues, we are not aware of any systematic issues in this particular section. It would be really, really useful if you can raise a ticket if this happens. Please indicate what section was not filled in. There are, of course, certain areas of the form that would not be filled in because we expect that you would need to provide new information. It is not something that you can reuse. But in general, all sections should be duplicated. I did some quite some testing on the cloning feature in preparation for the training last week, and I did not see any issues there. But please do raise a ticket and provide us details of the application variation application number and this and the fields that weren't duplicated so that we can investigate and improve this, because of course it's a very, very important feature and it's very important that it's working properly.
Thank you very much, Christina, for underlying the importance of opening tickets and providing information about eventual bugs and issues found by the users to improve the system. The next one, I could even answer it if you are willing.
Please, please, Francisco.
Okay, so are YouTube videos how to populate application form updated already? So in this case, the video present in the YouTube channel are not already updated. We just planned for the next quarter activity to update through also some recordings and some tutorials on how to populate the new UX design application forms. So in September, we are going to publish those. But if you need these trainings rapidly, we are in the process of finalizing the recording of the training session we had last week on the 1st of July. And in that training recording, which will be published on the eAF event page of the training of last week, there will be the demos that Christina made during that training. So within this week, we will publish that on the event page, and from there you will have the chance to dive into the demos that were indeed shared with users during the training. Okay, let's move on. And from now on, Christine, I'm sorry, they're for you. So,
Okay.
is it visible that other colleague is working currently on application form, or we need to communicate outside not to lose progress?
Yes, this is one of our, let's call it a known limitation. There is no indication that another colleague is currently working on the form. So please do liaise with colleagues in order not to lose any progress, because if two of you are in the same form exactly at the same time, making changes in different areas of the form, whoever presses save first, those changes are saved and the other person may lose their changes. It's not like SharePoint, unfortunately. It is still a form. So unfortunately, we do not have this kind of, let's call it a lock that would prevent you to edit a form that another colleague is editing. It is in our backlog, but it's not been, because it's quite complex to implement and would take a very long time to implement. So we haven't been able to prioritize it. But yes, please be careful when you suspect that another colleague might be working on the same form.
Thank you very much. The following question states, in cases where our partner is the MAH and we prepare the submission package, we will need to have the access for the partner MAH also to prepare web-based eAF.
Indeed, yes. So there are multiple different scenarios and multiple different access levels into the eAF so that you can work together. Because, of course, it's a very, very common scenario where you are working together as a consortium or for a kind of head organization where there are multiple MAHs in one application form. So you can get affiliated through IAM either to the other organization. This depends on your internal structure. If you are allowed to see the products of your, let's call it, sister MAHs, if you're not allowed to see any of the products of the other organization, then you can get affiliated to the form only. So in that case, you would have, for example, coordinator rights or applicant manager rights for your own organization and perhaps to another organization. But if there's, let's say, a third MAH involved that you're not allowed to see their products, they can be invited to edit that same form. They will add their products into the form and you can edit it together, but you cannot see their products. They cannot see your products. So there are different models. So we have these different access levels to enable working together in various different scenarios, whether you are allowed to see the products or not allowed to see the products. So there is more details on how this works explained in the user guide and in the registration guide. But if you have a specific question, you can also raise a ticket on this. Or you can test with colleagues with the access. But in some cases, if you are allowed to see the products, you would just simply need to be affiliated to a different organization. Otherwise, affiliate, you can invite a colleague to co-edit a form.
Thank you, Christina, for the answer. Moving to the next one, which received 5 votes, so seems to be of interest of the participants. If I prepare a master eAF with partial info filled out and saved as a draft, to be copied whenever necessary, is it automatically updated in case of a new deployment of the system?
Yes, indeed it is. So it's majority of the changes at this point. In the past, we had some scenarios where we were making some really huge changes or we were adding some new fields. In some cases, not everything would be automatically updated, or an issue could persist in a previously filled section when there was a new deployment. At this point, we normally do not have changes like that. The system has reached a certain level of maturity, and normally you would see all the new updates, deployments in that form that you have started to edit. So you know that when you open it, you are always editing it in the latest environment. We have, however, a change coming at the end of this year, which relates to, for example, to the new variation regulation, to the new classification guideline. So then we will have 2 different versions of the form live at the same time. If you have an ongoing variation with the new class, with the old classification, that would not automatically update to the new classification guideline, because that would be terribly wrong. You have started your procedure with the existing classification guideline. So then you would need to kind of refill these partial, let's say, core metadata into the new version of the form. But in generally, when there are no major changes like that, you will get all the latest updates in that particular form.
Thank you very much. The next question. Can you demonstrate if big pictures, photos be included in present and proposed section?
Yes, this should be possible. Let's see if I have a photo that I could use for for this purpose available to me. Let me just before I share my screen, just check that there is something that I can include. I just closed all my screenshots. For example, this, I think that could work. Okay, so I will share my screen and let's test. It should certainly work, but
Stop sharing then.
I am sharing, I'm trying to share. Great. So let's go in here to edit a section. And here I have the present and proposed fields. I'll add another section below where we could try and include image. So I will take this image here and I will use it on both present and proposed fields. Of course, you would in real life have different ones. So you just saw, I just literally copy pasted it from Snagit, which is a screenshotting tool that I use. Now we see that section after saving it. You can see the images are there. They seem to be somewhat truncated. Let's see how they appear in the export, because we have had some issues here, and it seems that sometimes certain deployments unfortunately break our how to say, alignment of that section. So and again, a production deployment sometimes can also bring us some unfortunate unexpected changes. So let's see. I'm as excited as you are. So let's see. So when we go to the types of changes, so here is our present and proposed. In the PDF, even though in the UI they did not appear very nicely, but in the PDF they actually do appear well. Here maybe it's good to mention we will be implementing some improvements in this section during this quarter. So for example, we have this list that is, let's say, rather pointless for non-cap applications. We're just literally repeating the information here that we have in section 2. So here we have the actual package details. So we will be removing this product packages listing here because it doesn't make any sense. Also here, we're actually wasting quite a bit of space with this box that just says text, but nothing more meaningful. So we will be removing this part that says just text, and this will enable us, give us a tiny bit more space for the present and proposed section. So this is something that you can expect to see in the, let's say, coming weeks and months. Before end of September, it will be implemented. So, but with regards to the question, yes, these are, I wouldn't call it huge, but it is a whole screen size image. So it seems to come here okay. We know that there are some issues with some tables that sometimes don't appear well. I believe we did do some fixes to those table issues in our last sprint or in the past couple of weeks. So if you have any issues, please do raise a ticket and provide us details so we can investigate. But this time it seemed to work well. Thank you. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Christina, for the demonstration. It was really useful. Let's go back to the Slido and the questions. So we can mark as answered this question and move to the following one. Can you remind the requirements on how to sign this new form?
Yes, a very good question. So indeed, the form itself cannot be signed in the system. So it's important that in the finalization section, which is the very last section of the form, you will fill in the signature details. You can include details of 2 different signatures if needed. If you need to include more details of other signatories, you can have an annex to the form, of course. Then when you go to finalize, the form will be signed by a qualified digital signature, which implements what we call an integrity stamp into the form. This means after the integrity stamp is included in the form, after that, you are unfortunately not able to sign it using a simple signature tool, for example, Adobe Signature. It can be signed using another qualified digital signature tool. You can include as many digital signatures into the form after this integrity stamp as you would like. We are currently aware that there are some issues with the signatures. So some MAHs have signature tools that are not, let's say, compatible with the qualified digital signature tool that we are using for the integrity stamp. In those cases, we would recommend that, for example, you use the function in Adobe print to PDF. So basically, you create another copy of that form. When you print to PDF, that then makes it like a printout copy version of that form, and you can then sign it. Say with an Adobe signature, you can include an image of a signature, you can do whatever you would do to a PDF. And then you can include it into the submission package and call it as annex to the application form. Please don't have just 2 eAFs. That would be confusing and that could cause problems and rejection by regulators. But if you simply name it clearly that it is a signed annex of the form, should there be an NCA who requires a signed form, or should your company policy require a signed form? For centralized procedure, we don't require a signature, so you don't need to do that. If we have the integrity stamp, that is sufficient. Unless your internal policies require that, you can of course do it, and you can even say in a cover letter that the original signed version is on file. So should there ever be any question, we can always refer back to you and request for that original signed form. So I hope that helps.
For sure, it does. Let's question. Are you aware of any national training guides recommendation to be organized, implemented locally?
Unfortunately not. So we of course work very closely with CMDH. I would recommend to refer to the local health authority website to see if there is any particular guidance, any specific national requirement that is, let's say, over and above of those that are the requirements in the CMD guidance, because of course we try and harmonize. CMDH is of course more for MRP DCP variations, but of course we want to cover also and harmonize also purely national variations. So we don't have like a catalog of these national things, but we know that some NCAs regularly organize trainings. They may publish information on their local websites related to any particular national information.
Thank you. Moving to the following question. Is there any news about the acceptance by national HAs of no signature of the eAF following discussion with CMDH?
So CMDH is currently reviewing their national requirements document. So this is the document that is published on the CMDH website that lists national requirements for signatures and many other things. They are currently, that document is open for review. We don't have yet news if they are ready to, let's say, in a way, abolish a signature in the eAF itself, because we now have the integrity stamp. Of course, the integrity stamp gives guarantee that the user has logged into the website. They have to be an authorized user to access the website. But some countries may have national legislation that then requires a signature. So we have also been discussing quite a lot with CMDH on how we could offer a solution that covers everybody. So, for example, using an annex is one of the possible ways to provide a form with the signature for those member states that require a signature, and you can still then use the actual PLM portal web-based application form with all its XML features, where national competent authorities can benefit from the download capabilities for with the XML to their case management systems. But this is an ongoing issue.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. It was useful. Is it recommended to validate AF regularly to see errors or just at the end?
This really depends on the way how you prefer to work. Some colleagues like to kind of have these sections highlighted red to kind of give you an immediate notification that you need to you might have skipped a section. Sometimes if it's, let's say, a very long and complex form where you know that you will be coming back to that section, maybe there's no need, but it really depends how you like to work. But there is a slight difference. You can validate each section using the validate button, but then even if you haven't done that, and then you go to the end of the form to finalize, the finalize button will trigger a full whole form validation, and it will bring out all possible validation errors, even those ones that were not, for whatever reason, picked up by the section validation. So sometimes it seems that there is more thorough final validation than there is with the section specific validations.
Thank you. The next question states, will the signature image pasted under the signature considered valid? We don't have qualified signature tool.
So this is a kind of question that you would need to check with your national competent authority. In the interactive PDF eAF, an image of a signature was accepted. That was in fact the only way to sign that form. So normally the NCA should be sufficiently happy with this image of a signature. We know some member states, for example, Poland, is very happy if you have the integrity stamp and then you use the qualified signature on top of that. Some member states do not require qualified signatures. They are happy purely with the integrity stamp. Some may have other signature requirements, and if they do have those signature requirements, then they should ideally clarify and explain what those signature requirements are. But if you have in the past used an image, I can't see why they would not accept that. But again, because we don't have details of anything else than what is currently published in that document that is open for review, it's also very difficult for us to sometimes answer those questions.
The survey started, but let's stay for a while still on the questions. Okay, moving to the next one. I'm not able to add VAT number under payment section while creating form customer account number selected, but after exporting no VAT number visible.
Is this a CAP form? For centralized procedure, we do not require a VAT number. So we don't want it. So you would not be able to, of course, the field shouldn't even be there. There could be that there has been an error because the finalization section was actually just delivered in the previous sprint. So it was just made available at the very end of June. It could be that it has erroneously come back for the cap variations. For non-caps, let me see. The VAT number, I can see the field here. Do a very quick test so that I'm not lying. And I'm not sharing my screen, I'm aware of that, but I am doing a very quick check to see if this is also a case for non-caps. So this is the same application form that I had previously shared. So I'm just literally doing an export that I can then check. You won't be able to see now what I'm doing because I'm not sharing.
Christina, I just wanted to mention that we received a comment that actually that VAT number is referring to CAP.
Okay, so in that case, please note you do not need to provide a VAT number for a CAP product. That field should not even be there. So I think now there's indeed an error in that section. So we will definitely raise a bug to hide the VAT number for CAP products. It has accidentally, I guess, reappeared there. And meanwhile, the results from my test have come back. So I have just exported a proof of payment section for this non-cap variation application that I had. And there the VAT number indeed does come into the form. So I had I don't know if maybe we have sufficient time, because I think I might have seen there is indeed a comment that not all issues are solved, but I have just tested. So let's see what could be the issue, because maybe you'll be able to provide us more information. I have literally just now. What is happening? Just cancel that. I'll try and share again because I have this form that I would like to show. Maybe I do it like this. I hope you can see my screen with the
Yes.
form on it. So
Yes.
this is the proof of payment section. In this form, I have an MRP product and purely national products. I have two different member states. I have Italy and Austria. The Italian product is a purely national product, and there's one MRP product and one purely national product from Austria. I have selected for Italy that I have paid the fees, and I am able to select the member state to display Italy. And then for Austria, I have indicated that I have not paid, and I've included the payment details. These sections I did not fill in, so it's not that they didn't appear. I didn't fill them in, but I was testing for the VAT number. But now I saw that there was a comment that you're not able to add the member state. So now if I go back to the form and I display this payment section, so I'll edit it here. So you should get the member state fields here in the fees paid section. So first you will get this just the pop-up window where you would include the fee category, and then in the next one you will get the member states. So maybe I'll show it like this. It's a little bit maybe confusing that it's not immediately. So here you get just the category, you click next, and then below you will be able to select the member states like so. Done. And then for the where the payment has not been done, again, the member states are available at the end. But please, if you do have an issue, could it be that the form has been created a long time ago before we have implemented the fixes in this section? If you have created the form, let's say more than 6 months ago, before we did implement fixes, it could be that not all fixes are properly there in that old version. So please do try again with the fresh form. If it is a fresh form and you do have an issue, please raise a ticket and provide the details of that, the application form number, and we can then investigate what could be wrong with that.
Perfect. You should now be seeing the slide of questions again. Let's then address a couple of questions. I confirm that the issue in the payment section are not solved. I have tried this morning and unfortunately it is not possible to select the member states. This is referring to the question we received previously.
Yes. So do check if the member states are selected in the procedural information section so that you have correctly selected the relevant member states. But please do raise a ticket and provide the number, and we will then check that form if what could possibly be wrong with that.
Thank you. Would it be possible to have larger windows in the present and proposed table? This is quite difficult to complete the table when the text that needs to enter is long.
Absolutely. This was one of our main drivers behind of actually redoing the present and proposed section. This was one of the things that unfortunately was not fully implemented, or actually, should I say, not at all implemented when we deployed the new present and proposed section in December. Rest assured, we have prioritized all the fixes and the missing features from the present and proposed section. So hopefully early on in still in July, we're hoping to provide in production improvements into the present and proposed. One of those changes is that you are able to select, while you're editing, you would have a full page of just the present or full page of just the proposed. So this is definitely part of the improvements. They may come in smaller chunks. We are implementing multiple different improvements, in fact, into the present and proposed table, but this is one of them. So hopefully before end of the quarter, we will have significantly improved the present and proposed section.
Thank you, Christina. Let me know if this question, because this question is asking for a demonstration of how to use the format painter. Do we have time for that in these last few minutes of the Q&A event?
We have 3 minutes left. I'm a little bit worried if I'll be able to, if I need to create a table and do that. This is something that we can certainly look into doing, and then maybe publish a little video how to do this. And we can definitely see if there's any issue on how to do this. So we'll look into this and we'll come back. If you have a specific issue, please raise a ticket or maybe raise a question as well, and we can then create a mini video and provide this to you through the service desk tool as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Christina. So I'll maybe stop here the answering of the question. I wanted to show rapidly the survey that has been activated, and I would like to ask to all the participants to just join the Slido through the same QR code and code, and please answer these 2 questions, really rapid survey that will help us to indeed settle and define structure better, even the following events eAF will propose. And with that, I will go back to the slides for the closing remarks of this session, so that we can indeed end up. Can you see the slides?
Yes, I can see the Slido page. Yes. So we can move to the next slide. So here, thank you very much for all who participated today. Very, very good questions. So I also always find these sessions very useful, because then we can use this on of course, basis on our prioritization of what we will be delivering in the next sprints. But we can also highlight sections in the user guide and in the release notes where we might have some gaps or issues. So we do have some upcoming trainings. So in September, we have not yet included a date here, but I think we have decided roughly the dates. So they will be kind of around mid-September-ish. We'll have a eAF training. We have another Q&A clinic coming, and then we have a training also that concentrates more on the CAP functionalities. And of course, then another Q&A clinic. The Q&A clinics are always for both, for CAPs and non-CAPs, so everybody is welcome to attend those. So, and if you have any issues, please note that you can always contact us through the service desk. If you have improvement proposal, change requests, you can also then raise a question or a suggestion through the service desk, or you can use the PLM portal email address, where you can also provide us a kind of the feedback for proposals. So thank you all very much, and we'll see you in September.